In earlier videos, I showed you how Robert Burton used the power of three and the power of dualities to structure this book. So it's a pretty big book. We're talking about 1,500 pages, a book in 3 volumes, thus your power of 3 right there. And in this video, we'll explore the opening paragraph and learn several lessons. Now, the opening paragraph, it is the opening paragraph of the main part of the book. I'm not going to talk about the introduction because there's an introductory part in this book. We're not going to talk about it. We're going to go straight to the subject matter, which is the anatomy of melancholy. And we're going to see how the opening paragraph is constructed. And we're going to learn several lessons, including a lesson on subject-verb agreement, on sentence fragments and what they are, and parenthetical expressions. So let's jump right into it. Here's our first paragraph of this book. The first partition, the first section, member, subsection, and in fact, the first paragraph. Now, it is a wonderful, wonderful paragraph. And let's take a look at how it is constructed. In fact, I'll tell you right now, it is pretty much one sentence. It is the opening paragraph, but it is one sentence. Okay? So lesson 1. A sentence must have a subject and a verb, because otherwise it is a sentence fragment. So if a sentence is missing either the subject or the verb, it is a sentence fragment. In other words, it is not a sentence. It is an incomplete sentence, which makes it not a sentence at all. This is a sentence. And in fact, it is a very beautiful sentence and a very powerful sentence. But let's see how it is constructed, and let's see if we can spot the subject and the verb here. So let's see. Now, this is our subject right here. And this is in fact how I teach writing sentences. Just start your sentence with the subject. Go to the subject right away, and then everything else will fall into place. But let's see how this is constructed here. So the subject is man, meaning human being. This is how they used to refer to human beings, just by calling them man. Okay, up until the 20th century. Okay, or the 19th century. So man, comma, the most excellent and noble creature of the world, the principal and mighty work of God, wonder of nature, as Zoroaster calls him, audacis naturae miraculum, which means nature's boldest and most marvelous stroke. That is Latin, right? The marvel of marvels, as Plato calls him, the abridgment and epitome of the world, as Pliny calls him. You see what's going on here? So far, these are just little descriptions of what a man is, but we still haven't seen the verb. The verb has not come yet. So let's continue. So man, comma. These are all parenthetical expressions. So sovereign lord of the earth, comma, viceroy of the world, sole commander and governor of all the creatures in it. This is all just man. All of it is just pretty much the subject. To whose empire they are subject in particular, and yield obedience, parenthetical expression, far surpassing all the rest, not in body only but in soul, still another parenthetical expression, imaginis imago, created to God's own image, to that immortal and incorporeal substance with all the faculties and powers belonging unto it. And now we have a semicolon, and we're done with all the parenthetical expressions. And now comes what? Now comes the verb was. Man was. At first, pure, divine, perfect, happy, created after God in true holiness and righteousness. And then the sentence continues. Deo congruens, fitted for divinity, free from all manner of infirmities, and put in paradise to know God, to praise and glorify Him, to do His will, ut disconsimiles parturiat Deos, that being like the gods, He may beget gods, as an old poet saith, to propagate the church. Whew. That was a mouthful. This is one sentence. Now, look how many parenthetical expressions come between the subject and the verb. Okay, many. So, again, the lesson 1 is that a sentence must have a subject and a verb. As a result of it having this verb was, the subject has the verb was, this is a complete sentence. This makes it a complete sentence. In fact, if I only say, the man was, or man was, that would be a complete sentence. Yeah, well, man was. Okay, so, next lesson. Lesson 2, the subject and the verb must agree in number. Now, do they agree in number? Man was. Absolutely, they do. Man was. Not man were, or man was. No, man, singular, was, singular. Women, plural, were, plural. right? So they must agree in number. I don't care how many words you have between your subject and your verb, the subject and the verb must agree in number. Next, lesson 3. These rules apply no matter how many parenthetical expressions you have. Like I said, there are many parenthetical expressions here, and we're talking, by my count, 13. So between man and was, we have 13 parenthetical expressions. I could be wrong by 1 or 2. So here are your takeaways. Number 1, any sentence must have a subject and a verb. If it doesn't have either a subject or a verb, it is not a sentence. It is otherwise known as a sentence fragment. The subject and the verb must agree in number. That is the so-called subject-verb agreement in English. And the verb can come after many parenthetical expressions, but it must eventually come.